Hey everyone, I'm Alyssa, an Indianapolis Colts cheerleader for the 2024 season, and this is Believe in Colts.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm also on. With me, as usual, is my co-host, Donald Thomas. And I'm telling you, coming off a game that was incredibly disappointing, where the team literally had 3, 4, 5 different chances to win this game in multiple different areas, multiple different phases. There's a lot to go over here. All right. And in this situation, I know that there's going to be a lot of discussions about Anthony Richardson. But before we do, I just want to know, Donald, initial take.
Demoralizing win. Loss. Demoralizing, to say the least. Across the board, offensively, defensively, special teams, you name it. You can pick plays, you can pick instances, you can pick lack of whatever on a play. You can go down the list of players. There were some bright spots too, so I'm not going to just be one-sided here. There were bright spots, but it was definitely one that was frustrating and unbelievable loss, to say the least.
Yeah, we're going to get into that unbelievable, frustrating loss in just a moment. But before we do, I got to remind everybody that, hey, basketball fans, it's that time of year again, and the NBA is back from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all of your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. BetOnline has the stats, the matchup breakdowns, and live odds to bet on during the games. And it's not just NBA. BetOnline has everything from football, Major League Baseball, NHL, and all sorts of sports. Head to the website today. Get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, where the game starts here. Now, I'm just going to throw it out there right out the gate, bro. Anthony Richardson takes this snap inside the red zone or close to, falls back. Now he's under pressure big time. He's got this 320-pound guy that he just shrugs off of him, takes off, scrambles, and then gets tackled for a minimal gain. But then he taps out of this game, man. He's like, hey, I need out. I need a play off. He was told that it was going to be a run play anyhow, but he still tapped out. And I'm curious, you are an offensive lineman, starting offensive lineman, multiple teams in the NFL. If your quarterback had done that, what would that do to you mentally? And what would you do about it if you would?
Well, first off, until Sunday, I never thought that was a thing. I've been in the huddle with a lot of different quarterbacks, and it was never a thing. You play a game where you get paid a ton of money to play it. I'm going to emphasize the word game. Life isn't a game. Life is life, right? So, it's hard for people to understand what happened and transpired in the game because they live in the real world. They live in life. They life. So I'm gonna start with saying that because I put everything into perspective from a player standpoint and from now being removed from the game, right, and be living in the real world. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. I've been in huddles where quarterbacks have broken their fingers. Quarterbacks have gotten hit when they decided to run and their helmet slipped down and ripped their nose. And they had literally were calling a play. Chad Pennington calling a play in the huddle with blood gushing out of his face and spitting blood on everybody while he's calling the play because there was so much blood gushing out. He didn't tap his helmet. I've been in huddles where quarterbacks have ran for 30, 40 yards, came back in gassed into the huddle and called a play. And we ran it. We've had 10, 15-yard drives. I remember when I played for the Miami Dolphins against the Colts, and a lot of Colts fans will probably remember this. I was playing for the Dolphins in 2009, second game of the season, Monday Night Football. The Dolphins possessed the ball for 45 minutes. Still today, to this day, NFL record for time of possession. Gassed. Everybody was gassed. Nobody, hey, I need one. Because it's not a thing. Like, you train in the offseason to be in shape. That's why they say mid-season form. Because you should be hitting your stride mid-season form where, listen, yeah, we're breathing hard, but I can still go. I'm gonna breathe hard after the first play. I'm gonna keep it real. We're linemen. We're gonna breathe hard. If you're a running back and you run for a 40-yard run, you're gonna breathe hard. But you ain't asking to come out. Now I get it. Running backs rotate and they got different formations, all that good stuff, and they come out because their primary job is to run the football effectively. And if even it makes it worse that he says, we don't know for sure, but he says he knew the next play was going to be a run play call. Bro, you can't hand the ball off. Mm-hmm. And you ask a man that's been in the league for 10 plus years, Super Bowl champion, to put his helmet on to hand a ball off. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the game. It's disrespectful to everybody that puts their heart and their life into it. I'm sitting there watching it at my daughter's softball game again, and I'm like, "Is he hurt?" My son looked at me. I don't think he's hurt. Then they pan back over to him. He's over there looking at the freaking iPad with no medical staff around him. He just needed a blow in a divisional game, 10-point game. With
literal mid-season too. I mean, you talk about mid-season form. It was week 8. That's about as mid-season as you can get.
But you talk about a game where you have to have it. You talk about where it's grit. You talk about a game where when you get in the huddle, you're the one who has the last word. You get your troops going. They have to look up at you for the play. They look at you for leadership, and you tap out on them, and they stay in the fire. Man, come on, man. I'm done with it. It's unimaginable. I think it was Bobby Knight said, the biggest motivator for a player is the bench. You put them on the bench, right? Bench talks to ass, right? Ass talks to brain, right? And then brain responds to say, hey, I don't want to be on the bench anymore. Well, guess where Anthony Richardson needs to be after that? Because that right there shows that you're not all in. I don't know what pedestal he's been put on his whole career. I get it. You have unbelievable, undeniable, God-given ability. We all know you have that. But the pedestal you've been put on has set you up for failure. And you know what? To be quite honest, the Colts have played a part in it. Coaching, upper management, everybody included, has all played a part in the demise of how he's been playing. Because I don't know any other quarterback that can have a first half stats that he had or stats like that. I mean, let's go look at Pittsburgh. They were 4-2 and changed their quarterback. But we want to wait for his development. We want to wait for him to play good. We want to why do we have to wait? Why can't he be behind somebody, learn how to play the game, and then step in and play the game like a lot of the good quarterbacks have, great quarterbacks have in their careers? We're thrusting a man that played 16 games before he got here, right, into stardom, supposedly, or into this role to run to lead an NFL team. And this guy over here is doing whatever he wants. Everybody thinks we're waiting for him to develop. We're waiting for this. Yo, you got one play on a busted coverage on a rub route, or whatever the heck you want to call it. The cornerback got picked for a wide open touchdown run pass. That's it. Anything else contested, anything else that like this regular football, right?
He had a couple of them that was just straight dropped. I think that A.D. Mitchell pass in the end zone, I think A.D. should have easily caught that and had both feet in. That pass on the other sideline to Goodson, there was not a cornerback there was no one covering him within like 3 yards and hit him right in the hands, right above his helmet.
But what I'm saying is the only pass that you had that was successful was a wide open pass. Anytime that there was coverage, you throw a pick before the half.
Yeah.
You give up points right there.
And that's a question not just on Anthony Richardson, but why were we throwing a football with like 20 some seconds left in the half? You know, I don't get that either.
Like I said, it goes from upper management and coaching has all played a part in this, and now it's a shitstorm.
I counted 6 drops by wide receivers where corners weren't like the coverage wasn't there. I saw a lot of contested catches that weren't caught. I'm curious if the team is giving up on him, you know, because it don't look like the team outside of maybe Josh Downs, outside of Josh Downs and Jonathan Taylor, right? Those 2 guys still playing their hearts out. You're seeing even Pierce dropped a wide open pass, right? It was unbelievable. And it looks bad. It looks bad across the board outside of the running game. The entire passing game looks horrible. Now, we could say it's Anthony Richardson. Absolutely could. I'm going to say the whole team needs to look at themselves in the mirror and realize that, you know, they're not just playing for themselves. They're playing for, you know, the guy standing next to them, right? Quarterback, he's got a whole team on his shoulders. He's got to play for everybody. The wide receivers has to play for the quarterback, and the other receivers and tight ends around him. Tight ends has to play for the wide receivers and the running back and the offensive lineman that's standing right beside them. It's everybody that they're not stepping up.
Everybody plays for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm playing for the punt returner. I'm playing for the kicker. I'm playing for the placeholder. I'm not just playing for the guy next to me that compliments me, or I'm working in tandem with the center or the tackle.
You don't want to let the guys down, right?
But it's not even that. It's not even that. It's your job. You play a game, right? Unless you play a game where it's just you and only you, you're playing for yourself, right? But the minute that it's a team, you don't just play for one person on the team or you select who you're playing for. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all in this together. We all got the same uniform on. We all ride the same buses. We all are in the same building all week. We practice in the same practice field. It's like when you tell a practice squad guy, hey, listen, man, you got to help me get ready for this week. I don't need you going out there giving half effort if I got to be blocking the best defensive lineman, or I'm going against the best corner, or I'm going against the best receiver in the league that week. I need your A game, because damn it, you're in the NFL too. Regardless if you suit up on Sundays or not, you're an NFL player. So I need you to give me your best to get me ready. He ain't just playing for himself. He's playing to make that man better on Sundays. He's playing for the team. He's practicing for the team. So when we get into battle, we're in the military. We get in a firefight. Right before or while we're in the firefight, all of a sudden, hey, man, I'm going to hang back real quick. I can't keep going. My foot hurts. What are you talking about? Now I really know you don't have my back. I don't care if it was a running play. It sets an example. It's poor example. I've never seen it across the board. I've never seen it. And I don't have respect for it. Just like I don't have respect for guys that milk injuries. I don't have respect for guys that don't respect the game in a lot of different aspects of preparing, taking it seriously. There's 32 quarterbacks in the world that can play this game at a high elite level week in and week out. So we say. And you have the opportunity to be one of those 32, and it's a slap in everybody else's face because you take it for granted. You're taking it for granted.
So, I mean, we've already established last week you're ready to bench Richardson and put Flacco in.
Sometimes you got to learn. Sometimes you got to
get close to that after the tap out.
Pie. A slice of humble pie is needed in certain situations. I don't care who it is. It's not an attack on Anthony, but sometimes, and a lot of the times when you get to professional sports, a lot of guys think, and excuse my language, their shit doesn't stink. And sometimes you have to be reminded, like, hey, man, go spray that potpourri, bro. Keep the door closed. Turn the fan on. You ain't no different from nobody else. And then you get to the press conference when you have 15 minutes to cool down. gather your thoughts. Know that one of these questions is going to be the picks, decisions when you're throwing the ball down the field, when you got to have it, when you're running the football, your completion percentage, right? And you're going to get asked, why'd you come out the football game? And your best response was, I ain't going to lie, I was tired. And then you had a little smile, smirk on your face, like you thought the whole room was going to laugh with you, and you quickly were like, oh, ain't nobody think that was – it's not funny.
It's not. No. And the thing is, look, I can forgive like performance issues, learning on the job, that type of stuff. But what we're talking about right now is leadership issues. That is a big leadership issue. And I'm starting to come around to your side where maybe he needs to be benched to get that humble pie and be able to look and watch somebody else and how they gain the respect of the guys around them, right? Because this what he did was there's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. I don't care. Especially, like you said, you knew it was going to be a handoff. You couldn't stay in long enough to hand it off. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. The other issue I want to talk about on the offensive side before we get to the defense is play selections. The running game was good. Jonathan Taylor still, surprised the heck out of me. He was out there running his ass off, running through people, making people miss, which is what you traditionally think from Jonathan Taylor, but what I didn't expect coming off a high ankle sprain, Very, very proud of that man. He worked his ass off. But the play calling in the passing game, I'd say 4/5 of every pass attempt was 20 plus yards downfield. On first down, 1st and 10, or 2nd and 3, it didn't matter. It was 20 plus yards down the field all the time. And of course, that's going to play into your completion percentage. And I don't know who's responsible for that, right? Is it the play design? Is it the play call? Because, guys, or is it just Anthony Richardson wanting to look downfield and not looking at guys, that, hey, this guy's right here. He's running this slant pattern real quick. I could dump it off real quick and get a first down and move the chains, and not have a stupid 3 and out. And we've seen that multiple times yesterday, and it's frustrating to see. And so if it's not Richardson, it is definitely on the coach. And even if it is on Richardson, it's still on the coach a little bit, because the coach has to, not just the head coach, his position coach needs to say, you got to take what the defense gives you, right? You got to be able to just get that first down, move the chains. We cannot live and die by the deep pass, because you're going to die more than you're going to live in a situation like that. And that's frustrating to me when I'm watching that week in and week out from Anthony Richardson. He literally lives by 20 plus yard passes. And you saw when we opened up the second half, you started seeing a little bit of the check down passes, quick passes, getting a rhythm. Looked pretty darn good. And then he got away from it in the fourth quarter. And that was that opening opening drive in the third quarter was the only time I saw it and looked, hey, this is starting to look efficient. Everything else was not.
What was the result of that drive? 3 points?
I think it ended up being 3 points because of some I think that was the one where Quentin Nelson false started, and then something else happened as well. I think he ended up with a sack, which brought him back even further. But they were inside the red zone, but they were efficiently walking down the field, is what I'm saying, until that point. And it's frustrating. Let's go into the defense, guy.
Right.
Yeah. We actually talk about, so I felt like the defense played their asses off in this game. I really do. I love the play calling for the most part. I think Gus Bradley called more blitzes than there was offensive snaps. Like, it's just weird. When I say that, I mean that he sent more guys on a blitz total, like, one guy or two extra guys. I think more guys went on blitzes than there was snaps for him to do so. He sent a lot, and it worked for the most part. For the most part, it was making CJ Stroud uncomfortable, getting a lot of pressures, a lot of quarterback hits, especially early. There was a few times where some guys got open, right? And you're going to expect that occasionally. You're going to blitz. It's going to be tough to cover everybody if he gets the ball out quick or if he's able to escape the pocket. But for the most part, I thought this defense played pretty good. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure put on them a lot of time when they're going to be out in the field. And I think we have to remember, right, when the offense doesn't hold on to the ball for very long, you're asking your defense to do a big job. And so considering what they were up against the other day, right, where they were asked to, shut down a very good quarterback, shut down a running game with a very good running back, and then in the pass game to, cover some pretty good receivers. Granted, I think that they did a good job, but I think they created pressure. I think, if you watch a lot of their blitzes, a lot of their stunts, there was a lot of, TEs and ETs, line stunts up front to get the O lineman to kind of, have to spread out a little bit where there was a hole for the blitzer to run through. When you get the center one-on-one with a linebacker, or the center goes one way where with the tackle, with the defensive tackle, the guard gets picked. You got a guy, the end wrapping around. So I think they did a really good job of getting to the quarterback. I think, DeForest really, psychologically helps them up front. Just, knowing that he's going to give you everything he has, and he's going to generate as much pressure as he can, being that he's, he's not 100%, but he's close to whatever 100 he is of where he's at right now. So I think up front and getting after the quarterback, they did a really good job. I think that they looked like the Colts a little bit of old. They looked like the Colts last year up front when it came to generating pressure, when they had to have it. Now, I would have loved to have seen it all the way through the fourth quarter a little bit more. But either way, they did enough to keep this game close, and they did enough to win a football game. We just didn't win the football game because of, some obvious reasons that we talked about. But, defensively, they looked like they were answering the bell when it came to a divisional game.
You talked about, the defense being on the field for a long time. The Texans offense had the ball for 35 minutes as opposed to the Colts 25 minutes. So that's an extra 10 minutes that they're on the field as opposed to the offense. And this run defense was holding Joe Mixon to 3.2 yards a carry until like his last couple carries where he picked up like an 18-yarder, got him to just over 4 yards a carry. Still, that's better than what the Colts run defense has looked all year, in all honesty. And I feel like I got to shout out a defensive player. I should have shouted out Josh Downs on that one catch that he had was stupid, right there at the end zone. But I got to shout out Dayo Odeyingbo because that play was so good that he made that it cost him a touchdown.
Yeah.
Okay. Because had he picked that ball up off the ground, if the ball hit the ground and he picked it up and ran,
touchdown.
It's a touchdown. But he caught that shit one-handed midair as he was going to the ground, and he was called down by contact.
Yeah.
That's one of those rare situations where your athletic ability hurt you in the process of your total play that you had there. And not saying I didn't want it to happen. I'll take that turnover every stinking day. But that
Correct.
touchdown probably would have won the game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It would have changed the whole trajectory. We would still be talking about what happened yesterday, but at the end of the day, like there would still be, but we got to win. Now we got to figure out how do we get this guy to, not be winded and all that kind of stuff. But that's not the case, right? And so that's not what happened.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a hell of a play when you needed it. Fourth quarter couldn't happen at a better time. Just too bad that it didn't stick, and it was, he was down by contact. So, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to really wrap my head around the rest of this game, to be honest with you. Lawrence, I'm trying to stick with you, but I really still can't get over what transpired with Anthony. Like I just can't. Like I can't. I'm sorry. I just can't.
I got one more thing that I want to talk about, and then we'll get off here. All right. The Kenny Moore pass interference. I thought, I don't know, my brain, for some reason, I've always been taught that pass defenders, they got 5 yards for contact.
That's what it's always been.
How is that a pass interference then? I don't understand.
It's so subjective, man. And I don't keep up on all the rules and the rule changes and all that kind of good stuff and what's allowed and what's not allowed as much as because it's always ever changing. But I will say this, that was questionable. I was a little bit like, how's that, PI? Like he has that buffer to get hands on the receiver to play defense, right? Like you're not just on, hands up, I just got to shadow you. Like, no, it's a physical game, and I didn't see anything egregious in that.
No, and even the play itself was questionable on whether it would have been PI had it been downfield a little bit further, right? I mean, because the turn didn't happen until after the ball was already out of, the hip turn didn't happen until after the ball was already through. So I don't get how that, on top of that, and it being within the 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, that just felt like the referees kind of was like, the Texans are winning this game.
And it's debatable because like if it's a quick pass like that, then it changes the way that they can call that. If you know what I'm saying, like if it's past 5 yards and the receiver is going, he's running a 10-yard out or he's running a fade or a post, what have you. Those first 5 yards, I'm getting my hands on you as a DB, right? Like, boom, so I stay with you. But when it happens, bang, bang like that, I think that's why it can be. Well, that's PI because he's interfering with him, impeding with him catching the football, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here where I think that's what the rationale was behind that call being called. But, again, listen, here's the deal. You have to go into every game knowing that you're going to get some type of non-favorable call called your way. You have to go into the game thinking that. And yes, you're going to dispute it. Yes, you're going to be upset, but you have to, it's an old saying, you have to take the refs out of the game. And that is what the Colts have to do. They have to go up there and they have to beat people playing football the correct way so that when these calls happen, we're not like, oh man, like this added to us losing the football game. No, like let's take the refs out of the game. And that's the thing that I've always been coached to on every team. We got to take the refs out of the game and we control our own destiny, blah, blah, blah. So, that's just another, something else sour to add to the pot, I guess, of things that didn't go our way on Sunday. But, questionable call. Should it have been called? Personally, I don't think it should have been. I think that was a little bit of a ticky-tack call, so to speak. But, again, you've got to take the refs out of the game, and you've got to have a quarterback in there that's going to play the whole game. I'm just going to throw that back out. I think that it should be the Joe Flacco show from here on out until further notice. I'm knock on wood. Hope Joe stays healthy. But I think that it's time for Anthony to sit back, get some humble pie, learn. And there's nothing wrong with learning. There's nothing wrong with sitting back and playing under somebody. It's like you brought this guy in to be a veteran backup, but also like, hey, look, listen, like, I think you have to have a talk with Joe, and they probably have had a talk with Joe. Like, hey, if Anthony's not getting done, you're going to be our guy, and we really need you to teach and coach him. There's one thing that I see this very alarming too, and I have to bring this up. But like when you see Anthony come back to the bench, whether it's a 3-and-out, stall drive, or a touchdown, he just kind of like sits there. Like, yeah, he talks to some of the guys, so he'll dap them up, whatever. But there's not much talk between him and Joe. Like, he'll sit next to Joe, and this is from what I've seen so far this year. There's not much like coaching going on between the two, or there's not much like, like a lot of communication, so to speak. But then the other backup, I see him talk to him a little bit more. The one that's just always standing up with the other iPad. So, I don't know if there's some type of communication breakdown, like they're not really feeling each other, what have you, or it's one, I don't know what it is, but there needs to be more mentoring going on, I think, between, Joe and Anthony. And I think that now, if you can put a, earpiece in Anthony's ear so he can hear all the plays and have him, have Joe tell him, like, what I saw in this play, this is what happened, this is why I threw the ball here, blah, blah, blah. I think that's going to do him a lot better than, Joe, because I feel like when you watch Joe looks a little salty about not being in. Like, I feel like he thought that he should have went in the second half, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, and then, so I don't know. That's just how I feel. If I was coaching, or if I was, in the front office, like, we got to have a talk. We got to figure this out. But what just happened can't happen. And we need to set a precedent that that's not okay, because now this is turning into and this is a little extreme, but a player ran team, right? And I'm not saying the players run the team, but I'm saying, like, if I'm tired, I can come out. I dictate when I play and when I don't play. And I've never been around anything like that. I've never seen it. I'm old school when it comes to decorum of players, how the game is played, how you respect the game, how coaches coach players. And like, and it's even more alarming when Anthony said in that press conference that I told Shane I needed a break. Like, there is a level of hierarchy when it comes to players and coaches, right? And like, even the best players still know what they can and can't do. And they know what is a good excuse and what's not a good excuse, or they know what they can get away with and what they can't. And you're telling me that a second-year guy, just as he's a first-round pick, is comfortable enough to tell his head coach, and yes, I know that, guys call coaches by their first names. I never was a guy like that. It was always coach. It was always, whatever it was. I told Shane I needed a break. Because he's earned that right? He's earned those breaks, right? He's done enough to where he's in the top echelon of all quarterbacks in the league, passing completions, yardage, interception ratio to touchdowns. He's earned that right to tell Shane he needs a break. That's crazy to me. And then what's even crazier is for Shane, right, to not blow up on him.
What gets me, and you talk about hierarchy, shouldn't he have said something to his position coach, his quarterback's coach first? I mean, shouldn't it go through that hierarchy? I mean, because the head coach has got the whole game that he's dealing with, right? So, he's got to think of the next play. He's got to keep track of the time, and all sorts of stuff that's going on throughout the game. Shouldn't it be him talking either to the quarterback's coach or Jim Bob Cooter, the offensive coordinator, rather than the head coach, Shane Steichen?
Yes and no. I mean, like, so if something like that, where your quarterback's coming out the game, that's going to trigger your head coach's attention immediately. So, like, he's walking over to where he's coming off at to find out what's going on. He's not just ignoring that, because I got to put my cold quarterback in, and we're still trying to score points here, and we're in a divisional game where my starting quarterback just tapped his helmet to come off. I don't know what's wrong with him. So, yeah, I'm going to call a play. Yeah, I'm going to go, what's going on? Oh, I just need a break. What are you talking about? You need a break.
And let him. And then Shane
Get your ass back on the field right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you need a break? I got you. Don't worry about it. I'll take, Joe's got it from here on out. Yeah. You have an indefinite break at this point. Indefinite. Dwell on that word, indefinite. You can go ahead and take your helmet off. Matter of fact, my third string quarterback is now my second string quarterback. Take the earpiece, give it to him, grab the clipboard because you need a break. I got you. This is a divisional game. This is the big boy league. This is the NFL. This is what you got. This is why you got $40 million, whatever he got in his rookie contract. You don't get breaks, bro. Breaks are a thing that you get when the season's over with, or you get them on a Tuesday when you have an off day. You don't get breaks. Hey, guess what? I almost told you I couldn't do the show today. I was a little tired. I needed a break. You know what I'm saying? People look for product because that's your job.
Yeah.
Your job, you produce something in your job, right? Everybody has a job to do something where they're producing something, whether it's physical, mental, whatever it is. And people depend on that. It's no different from when we talk about these NBA guys that don't do back-to-backs, or like I'm taking my son to this game and I spent $500 on tickets that I know I don't have, but for him, I'm going to do that to see his favorite player play, and he comes out in street clothes because we're resting him. I get it, but I don't get it. Because in my opinion, I've been hurt a lot. You got to drag me off the field because it's a privilege to play the game. It's not a right. And I think Anthony thinks it's a right. It's really a privilege. You know what I'm saying? And he's forgetting that piece of it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't mean to get back on this train again, but I just feel like I can't get it all out in time. But people have got to understand that there's a lot of people that aren't standing for this. And a lot of fans, a lot of people that pay their hard-earned money to go see these games, that football's life, the Colts' life, whatever your team is, it's life to them. You're letting a lot of people down. You're letting a lot of people down. And it ain't just about who's in that facility. It's deeper than that. It's way deeper than that. And guess what? If you don't care, shame on you, because guess what? This is what it all entails. It entails the people. It entails the fans. It entails all your teammates. It entails you getting scrutiny now because of the shit you just pulled. It's not okay, man. So have a seat. We got it from here. We'll let you know if we need you.
How bad is the Colts sitting right now, 2 games down in the division and sitting at 500? Do they still have a shot at making the playoffs this year?
It'll be tough just because of those 2 losses to Houston and the loss to Jacksonville. I think even if they run the table in the division, they still don't win the division. Houston's not looking great with the injuries they have, though. You know, with hurting his knee, non-contact doesn't look promising. So that's going to hurt them. So it'll be interesting to see how they finish out. But, I mean, the division's kind of still Houston's to control. And even the wild card situation, like, you got to look at it from a standpoint of, like, every game is crucial at this point. Because if you even want to have a shot at the wild card, if you can't win your division, might be tough because there's a couple teams that are still playing well, and they're going to get those spots. And if you got to play somebody to get, to advance in the playoffs, and you're going up against a team that's hitting on all cylinders at the right time of the year, and you guys are still dancing around with this whole quarterback fiasco and blah blah blah, like it's not going to fare well for you. So, you got to figure it out. You got another half of the season left. I think this is the time where you make that decision to start Flacco for the rest of the year and give yourself the best opportunity to get in a playoff scenario. But right now, if we continue with this, it ain't happening.
No, our passing offense needs to be better. I think that's the only real problem that I'm seeing right now over the last few weeks is that our passing offense needs to get fixed. And I think we can make the playoffs. Like I said, we're 500. If we can just get 1 or 2 games over that, the rest of the season, I think we make a wild card spot.
If I'm a young receiver and we're in practice and Anthony tells me to run a route like this is the timing of the route. This is where I'm going to throw you the ball. All that. This sounds great. Guess what? I'm not listening to you. Because guess 9 out of 10, you're not going to hit me where it needs to be hit. Yeah, it sounds great because that's what coach told me in the meeting room. You need to run this route like this. Now Flacco gets into practice. He's mentoring the young receivers. He's working with Reggie Wayne. They're all on one page. He's understanding the strengths and speeds of the different receivers. What's their strong suits? What's not? What do they do well? This is exactly how they're going to play this when we get in this formation. This is what the safety's going to do. This is what the corner's going to do. This is how they're playing you. This is where I'm going to put the ball at. This is the only place I'm going to put the ball, right? I'm receiving that information as a young receiver, and I know that it's valid. Because I know this guy is battle tested. I know this guy knows what it takes to win football games. Because guess what? His resume speaks for itself. And he's got a little bit left in the tank to where he's trying to get me better. I'm going to receive that information, and I'm going to go out and play better because of it. But when I got a young guy who's just tired, who's throwing he completed like 1 or 2 passes in the first half. He's in the bottom barrel of everything when it comes to quarterback statistically right now, right? Like, and he's going to tell me how to run routes or tell me where he's going to put the ball at or tell me how to, like, this is how the offense should be ran. I'm not listening. I'm not receiving that. And it's a trickle down. And then we go into Sunday and I'm not confident in this guy. I'm going to do my thing. This is how I'm seeing it. Give me and he doesn't get you the ball still.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Believe in Colts. Some very heated words from both of us. Let's be fair. I mean, I've been defending Richardson all season. I'm not defending what happened yesterday. I'm not. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts, baby.
Do you believe?